think about giving, because this is about giving. We shine through giving.
It means you have a lot of stuff internally because you can't give out of what you don't have. If you're an empty bucket, you can't give anybody stuff in the bucket because there's nothing there. But if you have a full bucket, then you can give.
Give a bucket.
Yeah, an empty bucket,
that too.
Tammy.
You could get the bucket.
Take the bucket.
There's a lot of different realms to that. When I think about it, there's ways you can give without, you're being open, you're being, you have to have a vision for, a need. You don't always see it, sometimes you see it, and if you come alongside the person, that's a giving. I had a couple others, and I can't think of them right now, but I mean, it's not something, it's not necessarily just giving somebody a gift or money or things like that. It goes, reaches into all kinds of realms.
Sometimes we give and people don't really want what we have to offer.
Or we're not speaking their love language.
We're giving in a way that doesn't really connect with them. That doesn't work very well, does it? And then sometimes when that happens, then we cop an attitude and say, well, screw it, I'm not going to give to them anymore. That's no good. We don't take it necessarily as a learning curve. Say, well, because the axiom that Jesus put out there is do unto others is what? As you would have them do unto you. Well, that doesn't always work because sometimes people don't think like me, and they don't want the help that I would want. They want a different type of help. That doesn't always, it's a general great principle, but it doesn't necessarily work out in strategy form in every case. Well, what does giving mean to you? It means, and Eleanor, you brought up a point. How do you give if you're empty? Well, part of giving means is that we have something to give. We have something to offer that has value. Then in order to give well, you can see this many times in the New Testament. Jesus often went away to lonely places to pray, to fill up. We have to take care of this person, or else giving, if we're burned out, giving is what?
Burden.
To do.
It's work. I don't want to do this.
And if you're scraping the bottom, you're not really giving something that's worth giving.
So this
This
message
other
of
stuff.
giving, it can be a very tough thing.
Well, Peter made that statement when he came to the beggar. He says, I don't have silver and I don't have gold. That's what you expect. That's what you're asking. But what I do have, I will give to you. So out of what I do have, I will give. My bucket's empty, but I do have something else I can give.
Well, he saw the real need. The guy needed healing.
It's not something that you can actually give. It's just being there or being present or whatever. Maybe they don't want to accept it, and you go away and pray for them.
So in order to be a giver, a consistent giver, we first must be a consistent receiver. Come on now. Right? You cannot be a consistent giver. Most people give in fits and starts. A little bit here, a little bit, and don't expect this every week, man. I don't know, it's kind of weird, man. We got to have we have to be consistently having an inflow. If there's going to be a consistent outflow, there's got to be a consistent inflow, right? Absolutely. And lots of people don't know how to take care of this person. The inflow that we have really isn't helping the outflow. This is a huge deal, the inflow. Jesus says, we love others. Well, John said that in 1 John. We love others because he first loved us. The reason I can love others is because of the love that flows to this place first. This is what it says in Corinthians. A primary giving passage. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give. Giving is a voluntary act. As it says, not reluctantly or under compulsion. How many know that? If you are guilted into giving, how does that work for you? Now, most all of us here, at least with me, to my knowledge, we have a pretty good relationship. And if I lean on you, Jeff, and you really don't want to do something, and I would say, Jeff, I really need you to do this. And, you'd be, oh my goodness, I don't know. But, I have enough collateral that I'm pulling on you on something. You might do that. You'd probably do it anyway, wouldn't you? Even if you don't want to do it.
Yes.
But you can't sustain that over a long time.
Yeah.
I want you to do this, and then I would come, and then after a while I'd come to you and say, you need to do this for the next 5 years. And you'll say, you're crazy, Ron.
Yeah.
Because unless it's in our heart to give, we can't do it. Come on now, isn't that right? Mm-hmm. Unless it's in our heart, we can't consistently do it. So in order to give, what has to happen? Our heart must change. Our heart must change. Some of us have stopped giving in certain relationships because our heart's not in it anymore. Come on now. Some of us around the house, we just give it we give reluctantly. And when we get gilded enough. And that doesn't work. And now it says, for God loves what? A cheerful giver. So what does that mean? God loves a cheerful giver. I guess God don't love me. No, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does it mean, God loves a cheerful giver? Well, since I cheerfully can't give, I ain't giving no more. Is that what that means? No, of course that's not what it means. So what does that mean? Well, since only God loves a cheerful giver, I'm off the hook. I don't have to give anymore. What does that verse mean? What does that section mean right there? For God loves a cheerful giver. God loves it when your heart's in it. God loves it when you reflect Him, because you know what? God is a cheerful giver. God is a cheerful giver. He gets excited when you're a cheerful giver. You know why? Because that means you got the understanding of what it means to shine in this earth. It's to be a servant. It's not about what you can get. It's about what you can give in this world. When you and I get that concept, He's excited because you've crossed over from a me-centered life to a life that's about investing in His kingdom and other people. God's excited. And He's excited when you become like that. So the heart of giving, real sustained giving, flows from the inside out. Giving flows from a grace-awakened heart. So Becky, do you deserve love? Do you deserve it? You deserve God's love? You deserve that Jesus came to the earth, died on the cross, rose from the dead. You deserve all that, right? Because you're just a good person. You don't deserve all that, do you? No, none of us deserves it. And you know what? We do not give because others deserve it. You know you're really giving when you can't be paid back. Real sustained love flows from the inside out. And I say it flows from a grace-awakened heart because a grace-awakened heart understands I don't deserve anything. I deserve nothing. And God flowed and poured into me. And you know what? I can pour into anybody because I don't deserve it. And so I'm free to just give now. And He loves me, and I can love others. So real sustained giving. I didn't sign one-time giving. You know, if I'd say, you know, Kathy, lock the doors. You got keys to lock all these doors. We're going to bolt all these doors, and we're going to pass the plate around. And not until we get a certain figure. We ain't getting out of here, folks. That's just the way it's going to be. Lock them, bolt them, double bolt them, do whatever you can. And you know what? We might get the figure, but nobody's coming back next week. You know, it'll be a one-time shot, and I'm bilking you for everything today. And that's it. And you know, you may be able to give, but this ain't real sustained giving.
No.
I'm talking about real sustained giving comes from a heart that's awakened by love. That's awakened by grace. And that's the kind of relationship that you have with God. Robert Murray McCain, this is a quote from him. He was a pastor, Scottish pastor, many years ago. And I think this is during one of his messages. He says, "There are many hearing me who now know well that they are not Christians because they do not love to give." To give largely and liberally, not grudging at all, requires a new heart. Oh, I totally agree with that. To give largely and liberally and not grudging requires a new heart. It requires the heart of God in you and in me. That's what it requires. The heart of giving, real sustained giving, is based on our faith, our inner convictions. Because it says we're not to give out of reluctantly or compulsion. When we give reluctantly, we're saying, I don't know if it's worth it. I'm not sure if I'm really there. I don't know if I really believe in this. I'm reluctant to do it because I don't know. Because our faith isn't there. And real sustained giving is based on our faith, our inner convictions. We cannot continue to give and have sustained giving unless we believe it's worth it. We can't. So the question is, how big is your faith? Were you worth God pouring into? What did God see in you? Have you ever thought that to yourself? What does God see in me? We need God's vision. When we get God's vision, we'll get God's giving. When we lose vision, there's really no purpose and reason to give. We lose our vision. We lose our ability to pour out. Isn't that right? Absolutely. So So God, give us your eyes and your vision to see. Giving is more than a responsibility, it's a privilege. More than an act of obedience, it is evidence of our faith. Oh, that's so true. That's so true. All right, let's get in little groups again. Let's answer these. Why is it sometimes hard to consistently give? Why is it sometimes hard? I had that passage up there, 1 Corinthians 16, because it says that we should determine every week how much we're really going to give. And that's just even talking about monetary giving. That's why there's offerings. They had Sunday morning offerings, and that's based out of some of that passage there. As Christians, as God, and I'm just not talking about money, but why is it sometimes hard to consistently give, period? What's so difficult about it? B, as Christians, does God command us to give, or does He suggest that we give? That's an interesting one. I'd like us to talk about that. Does God command us to give, or does He suggest that we give? And C, what are the positives of giving? Let's just break in our groups and let's talk about this.